it is we don't suck, when it is we don't love. It in the be like highway.
To limit the Voting Rights Act. The case focused on whether states can use race and consider race when redrawing congressional maps. Now, the decision could reduce the influence of minority voters, and questions are growing about what it will mean for the future of voting in America. ABC News legal contributor James Sample and ABC's Devin Dwyer are here to break it all down. James, the court ruled 6-3 here in favor of the voters who challenged adding this second majority black congressional district. So how did the court reach this decision?
Well, Diane, you're right in the sense that that is what they decided. And they decided this case 6-3. And what they essentially said is that although Louisiana had drawn that second district to comply with the Voting Rights Act under the prior interpretations of the Voting Rights Act that have been in place for more or less 60 years, the Voting Rights Act now effectively requires proof of intentional discrimination, not merely what is known as disparate impact discrimination. And therefore, since there wasn't evidence of that intentional racial discrimination, that second majority minority district violates the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, the net effect of which is to take the Voting Rights Act and turn it from a weapon against racial discrimination into a much less significant version of its prior self.
And James, walk us through that part of it. Why does this do so much to disempower the Voting Rights Act?
Well, what the court did here, Diane, and this was an anticipated ruling, to be clear. This has long been in the sights of Chief Justice Roberts, who, as far back as when he was an attorney in the White House counsel's office in the Reagan administration, long before becoming a judge, much less the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, the court here today effectively constitutionalizes a color blindness principle almost completely, absent the showing of intention. And what that means is that even the remedies for racial discrimination, the remedies that are designed to prevent racial discrimination, are themselves unconstitutional violations of the 14th and 15th Amendments, the irony being that that is what the Voting Rights Act was passed in order to enforce.
And I want to bring in Devin Dwyer, who covers the Supreme Court. Devin, what sticks out to you from the language of this decision?
Yeah, really not a surprising decision, Diane, given this conservative Supreme Court's decision in history of wanting to roll back the Voting Rights Act, as James was talking about there. But this significantly raises the bar now for challenges to election maps as being discriminatory against minority voters. It's going to make it harder to sue in court. And as the dissent puts it in this case, written by Justice Elena Kagan, in her words, it is a completed demolition of the Voting Rights Act. Kagan goes on to describe, Diane, what she says, the consequences that will be far-reaching and grave, in her words. She says if other states follow Louisiana's lead, in her view, minority citizens residing in those states will no longer have an equal opportunity to elect candidates of those choice. That's a pretty significant statement coming from the three liberal justices in this case who have long insisted that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act needs to remain in place to protect against the types of discrimination that have been present in this country going back generations.
And I want to bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. Mary, any reaction from the White House on this yet?
Not yet, but certainly President Trump has been a huge supporter of efforts across the country to try and change and redistrict some of these districts ahead of the midterms to try and give Republicans a boost. And look, this decision means that ultimately you could have less minority representation in Congress and in state houses across the country. I suspect the president will have a positive review of this decision, given his efforts to try and change and try and support redistricting redistricting efforts, although that has been to some mixed results, we should say, over the last several months. It also comes, of course, as the president has been eager to put additional restrictions on voting writ large. He, of course, has been calling for this legislation requiring proof of U.S. citizenship when registering to vote. He's even gone so far as to say he'll somehow act unilaterally if Congress doesn't. And as the president has been taking steps to really undermine confidence in the voting system ahead of the midterms, but certainly he has been very supportive of these redistricting efforts across the country, all intended to give Republicans a boost in the midterms now just a few months away.
All right, Mary Bruce, James Sample, Devin Dwyer, thank you all.
Well, I don't know how else more can I explain what just happened. Hello, everybody. My name is Jamar Jabari. Welcome to Team Resistance. We will be joined with Alex Suarez shortly. We'll have Amy next week rejoining the team. I hope everyone had a nice, good May Day. And if you are out there on the streets and you're going to watch this later on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, excuse me 1 second, I'm going to take my background off. Apologize about that. I hate when this happens. Let me take my background off. All right. No, there we go. So yeah. I hope everyone's having a good May Day. This is a president of proportions right here. This is a problem. The Supreme Court just literally said that you can recreate your districts based off of race, basically. We have Alex Suarez coming in right now. We'll love to hear his comments on this as well, too. Which is absolutely crazy. It's giving you that feeling of apartheid, of Jim Crow-y, Project 25-y, when you think about it. Alex, how you doing today?
Fine. I'm on my computer camera, which works sporadically, so I just put a picture and I'm just going to use audio for now.
Yeah, no problem, bro. I just played a video about the Supreme Court's decision. So now in Louisiana, they're going to.
Are you talking about the last of the voting rights thing that we had? Now it's completely gone.
The gerrymandering.
Yeah.
Yep.
They already been making a decision against voting rights. Now the last piece of it is gone. It's paving the way for a totalitarian state.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. Straight up. Anyone saying it's not, they don't know what they're talking about.
So back in, I think it was 2019, like late 2019, when I was doing a film project, I interviewed somebody from the Carter Center, which, as you know, observes elections all over the world, not just in Venezuela. And he was saying they were trying to get Carter to Florida over the dispute for the presidential election. I think it was Bush and Gore or something, like in the early 2000s. And Carter refused to go. And when they asked him why, he said, because I only observe places where they have free and fair elections. So the electoral process back then, 20 plus years ago, was rigged. Now it's even worse. And then a couple of years ago, the Supreme Court went after voting rights. And now the little piece that we had left is gone. Voter rights completely decimated. There's not even a minute amount of democracy left in this society. It's turning, or at least paving the way towards a totalitarian fascist state. And there has to be other ways besides electoralism. I don't know why so many so-called activists are obsessed with electoralism. This proves once again the only way is through movement building.
Yeah. Your voting rights are not going to be a good defense against fascism at all. It's definitely here right now as we speak. I totally agree with your assessment, Alex. And this was a part of Project 25, of course. So we are seeing
Project 2025. So they were planning on doing a lot of these things By the end of 2025, a lot of it was accomplished, and a lot of them are continuing to implement into 2026. But these were things that were so controversial that Trump tried to distance himself from them. A lot of his own base wouldn't support these extreme policies. But now, look what they're doing, not what they're saying. They're implementing it step by step.
Yep, and they are removing districts as well where black politicians have been successful in winning. This is everything that we have warned about happening, and happening in fruition. It's here. I don't know what else more to add about this because we have a lot to talk about on this show, but this is something that I want to start the show off with because I think it's very, very important that everybody knows about this, and everyone.
And also, that Trump's going to use ICE agents to guard voting booths to stop black and brown, and press working class people from voting.
Right. And this is going to be a repeat of the same history that they have done in the South before. With suppressing the black vote, suppressing the minority vote. So it's just history literally repeating itself. It's a page out of
pre-Jim Crow. More money than the Marines now. And the Democrats keep going along with funding them. The Democrats only verbally say that they're against ICE. Kind of makes you think electoralism is a waste of time.
Right. I was going to put it in the show notes, but
let me tell you, if an ICE agent shot Nancy Pelosi, invaded her home, and shot Nancy Pelosi in her head tomorrow, Democrats still wouldn't vote to defund. That's how much of a sellouts they are.
Totally. Hakeem Jeffries even mentioned earlier.
Isn't he a Zionist? They try to pretend he's Zionist, but he's another Zionist-controlled guy. Yeah. He
literally said that he doesn't see impeaching Trump as a priority. So they're controlled opposition, guys.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. And a lot of them are neocons as well, too, where they wanted that war with Iran. If the Democrats didn't want the war with Iran, they would have did the JCPOA all over again during Biden. But Biden didn't even look at it. Why? Because Biden wanted war with Iran, too. You know what I mean? These guys are literally just one party with two different flags, literally. The ass and the elephant. Ass and the elephant. But yes, we are here with Alex Suarez. Amy will not be joining us today because we're working class people and things come up. She will be back next week. This is Amy's story that she wanted to get covered. So, Amy is great on domestic, which is why I'm so happy that she's a part of this show. This is Team Resistance, which will be happening weekly, every Friday, 5 p.m. And shout out to the little crowd that we have going on right now. Hit the comment button with your thumbs up if you're feeling this podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you're on Spotify or anywhere else you get your platforms, thank you so much as well too. I think
if you look at the domestic, if you look at the domestic front, it's depressing because the numbers are like there's so many things that Americans are united on that politicians completely disregard them, because they're too busy sucking up to corporations in the military-industrial complex, and the Zionists, of course. And so, that's why I like to look more at foreign policy because you have the reaction to the U.S. foreign policy brings a lot of hope when you look at especially the third world and their interaction with that. So I tend to ignore domestic policy because it's just depressing that all these other major countries, including some in the third world, the so-called third world, have public health care. And you even have the majority of Republicans wanting it. And it's not passing here because we're not a functioning democracy. We're not even a semi-democracy anymore because the little bit that we had left was just taken away by the corrupt Supreme Court. What do you have, like 3 or 4 judges now that are caught up in corruption scandals from the Supreme Court? I'm sure you heard about this, and none of them have to step down, and they're in those positions for life. They don't have to
like Kavanaugh.
Right. But there was more than Kavanaugh. There was other Supreme Court justices.
Thompson.
More than Clarence Thompson. There's another one. The one who was portrayed himself as moderate. You know what I'm talking about? I believe he voted for.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I just can't think of his name.
Yeah, he's like the Chief Justice. I think it's
Obama
Robert.
appointee.
Yeah, Chief Justice Roberts, who's a Republican but a moderate who voted for gay marriage. He just got caught up in a corruption scandal too. So how many Supreme Court justices are there? At least 3 of them have been caught up in corruption scandals in the past few months. And so, this is who we're relying on to dismantle our democracy. And you might remember there was 2 Nuremberg trials, actually 3. The first one was against the top military people. We know what they did a movie about with Russell Crowe, Goebbels, all those guys. Like, they were the first ones to be rounded up in the Nuremberg trial after World War II. Then there was the lower level people, the soldiers, the prison guards. So the justification of following orders, according to Nuremberg principles, is not a legal justification. The third one was against judges. There was a third Nuremberg trial that's barely looked at, let alone the one with the guards and the soldiers, where they went after corrupt judges during the Nazi regime. And according to Nuremberg principles, it doesn't matter if something was made legal. Of course, slavery was legal as well. But if something's like barbaric and against the Geneva Convention, and even if the state had made it legal in a time of war, those judges have to be held accountable for passing those immoral laws. So if there was a revolution in the United States, probably the first one to be rounded up with people like these Supreme Court justices.
Yes. And I think one thing I will say that's a good thing about this, that and yes, Jamar's like, oh, there's a good thing about this. Yes, we have to look at the optimism, because those people who have championed voting rights, fighting so hard for voting rights, this is going to radicalize them. This is going to get them very, very fucking upset. You know what I mean? And we need to have our conversations with these people that believe strongly in voting rights, that believe strongly that change comes through the ballot, that, this isn't the end. This is the system turning full facets. This is the system becoming late stage capitalism, authoritarianism. This is showing how much they want to control the masses and how much they want to exploit the masses and not being questioned. This is a perfect time to radicalize your favorite voter rights activists. Definitely is. You know what I mean? Because they are literally taking districts away. Like I said before.
And by the way, the Democrats always said they're the party of science, vaccines, and whatnot. And Trump, just for no apparent reason, no express reason given, fired the entire National Science Board. And then, of course, right after that, Jeffrey says there's no reason why we need to impeach Trump. Like, what more do you need him to do, man? Do you need him to start gunning down Democrat leaders, like using ICE to gun down Pelosi and others? Like, what more needs to happen?
Controlled opposition.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so depressing. But one more thing. Let's move on to the next story. We have King Charles visiting DC. He also visited New York. Let's see what King Charles came all the way over here.
9/11, when NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time, and the United Nations Security Council was united in the face of terror, we answered the call together, as our people have done so for more than a century, shoulder to shoulder, through 2 world wars, the Cold War, Afghanistan, and moments that have defined our shared security. Today, Mr. Speaker, that same unyielding resolve is needed for the defense of Ukraine and her most courageous people.
Why the fuck are y'all clapping?
I can't hear you. You got to turn your mic on.
Apologies. I don't think we need to hear anything else more from the king. It's crazy. King Charles came here on the 250th anniversary. of
The
this
Democrats
country.
are up open arms over the disrespect that Trump showed the king.
Right.
Well, they just, this is why I didn't go to any No Kings protests, because it's just a Democrat front to get more votes.
Yes, definitely.
But that's the contradiction of the Democrats, that they'll say they're against kings,
Right.
and then when Trump's disrespectful, I don't mind Trump being disrespectful to the British king.
Right.
I'm not gonna.
I don't care.
Applaud him for
They
it.
were the enemy.
I don't think that's a big issue right now. You have brown lives, children being separated from their families, put in concentration camps. I think that's a little more important right now.
Right. Right. And this motherfucker comes here and talk about how we need to join in fighting the Russians. He comes all the way over here to talk about that. But didn't this country just embarrass themselves with Iran, which is what we're going to get into?
What did he talk about the genocide against Cuba and Venezuela?
Didn't want to talk about that.
Genocidal sanctions or the Venezuelan gold stolen by the British that they refused to give back. He doesn't want to talk about
Alex,
that.
you're a little lower. Can you put your mic up a little higher? Sorry. You're a little low.
Can you hear me better if I speak up? What I'm saying is, why doesn't he talk about that instead of coming here and just talking about Ukraine? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Literally.
Hey, I'll be right back, okay?
Yep. Yeah. It's honestly just very, very sad that we have to hear this BS 24/7. You know what I mean? He didn't say anything to the Epstein victims. He didn't meet the Epstein victims at all. Your brother, Mr. King, your brother literally took advantage of working class girls here in this country. You got nothing to say about that. You didn't come here and apologize. You didn't come here and talk to the Epstein victims. You're over here worrying about Ukraine when this government is starving Cuba. You're over here worrying about Ukraine when this country is leading genocides with Israel. Literally. Just disgusting. This is empire right here. This is the thought of empire. Empire only cares about their own agenda. He basically just said, you guys need to sacrifice your own daughters, your own sons for Ukraine. Ukraine's not even a NATO ally. Article 5, you can't invoke Article 5 on Ukraine because Ukraine's not even a NATO ally. Like, you legally don't even make any sense. Legally, you really don't make any sense. Why would you put Article 5 on the country that's not even a NATO ally? That makes no sense. You guys are making Ukraine look like the cradle child in Europe. You give your allegiance to them just off of promises with no actual signed doctrine. They're not in the EU. They're not a part of NATO. But yet you want to risk it all instead of legitimizing them and making them part of NATO. And we know why you don't want to make them a part of NATO, because it's a part of the security issues with Russia, which is a really good argument. How many times has Russia been invaded? And they always go through Ukraine. It's a security issue throughout history. If you read history, you understand more. So
I'm back.
King. Yeah, we're going to get right into Mali. I want to give my rant about the king. Fuck the king. So, next story.
Voler des vecteurs aériens tels que des drones, des hélicoptères militaires et des avions de chasse plus d'une 50aine de fois, en apportant des renseignements, des armes, des munitions aux groupes terroristes. Monsieur le Président, eu égard à la gravité des faits commis par la junte française, le Mali, dans sa lettre en date du 15 août 2022, a demandé la tenue d'une réunion d'urgence du Conseil de sécurité des Nations Unies. Cette réunion a pour objet de permettre au Mali de présenter les éléments de preuve en sa possession, démontrant que l'armée française a agressé en de maintes reprises mon pays, en violant de manière répétitive et fréquente l'espace aérien malien, sans autorisation des autorités maliennes, et parfois en falsifiant des documents de vol. Plus grave, Monsieur le Président, le Mali sera en mesure de prouver que la junte française a fourni des renseignements et des armes à des groupes terroristes.
So yeah, for people that don't know, this was covered by the Sovereign. Mali was just attacked by a coalition of terrorists from from Boko Haram and from Al Qaeda, ISIS.
Are you talking about the foreign minister that was killed?
The defense minister was also killed as well too.
Yeah.
So basically, they are the terrorists are trapped in a city called Kabul, I believe is the name of the city, which is not really a high significance of changing power over. And I believe that's where they're trying to get rid of them at. But over the weekend, this happened, Alex. I don't know if you had a chance to look into it.
Well, yeah, I heard about the minister that was killed. That's very sad because Mali's a progressive government and they're in a military alliance with Burkina Faso and with Niger. Obviously, these are Islamist groups that are backed by the West. Whenever you have any Islamic group functioning in the Middle East or the African continent, it always has its DNA in the CIA. You know, and the United States always uses religion to divide people, to try to control them and take their resources. This is nothing new. When you know the history, you know the blueprint of these things. One of my favorite Napoleon quotes, and you know, I don't always agree with Napoleon, but I think this time he had said the truth. I'm talking about Napoleon Bonaparte, the first Napoleon, because there was two Napoleon leaders. He said once that religion was invented to prevent the poor from killing the rich, and religion has been used, and that was in the context of his issue with the Catholic Church, because he didn't like that the popes had to decide, you know, had to give their blessing who would rule what country as a monarch or an emperor. Emperor Napoleon thought that. So, anyways, but yeah, I mean, you know, in general, religion is used to control people, is to prevent the oppressed from overtaking the oppressor, and that's why the Bolsheviks were largely atheists in the Soviet Union. But at the same time, they were actually protecting religious minorities. You know, the persecution of Jews and Muslims within the Tsarist Russia ceased under the Bolsheviks. So they encouraged people to learn the dialectic and not be religious, but at the same time permitted them to minorities to practice their religion. Now they went after the Orthodox Church because they backed the monarchy, and they were complicit in going after the Bolsheviks and the left movements there. Much like the Catholic Church was in Spain. In Latin America, the Catholic Church has been largely progressive. But if you look at the Spanish Civil War forward to the 1930s, you know, the Catholic Church was very pro-Franco, pro-fascist. And that's why there was a backlash there in areas where the left was able to gain some control in Barcelona and other parts of Spain. But yes, religious institutions, especially conservative ones, have had their clergy. I mean, there was even clergy in Spain that were caught, that were snipers, that they hired as snipers, you know, during the war. In World War II, the Catholic Church claimed to be neutral, but one of the popes was helping through what they called the rat lines. The Catholic Germans get out through Italy and escape to Latin America. And it's ironic. I was talking with a friend the other day about Che, and one of Che's most famous speeches, which I can cite by memory in Spanish, he said, he spoke French as well. He said, he was equating the Nazis of Germany with the U.S. imperialists of that time in the 1960s.
That's a good
assessment. Ironic because one of the men that was responsible, and he admitted he was very proud of the fact, for training the Rangers the CIA sent to Bolivia to capture Che and the guerrillas, was a Nazi, a German Nazi named Klaus Barbie, that went through those same route lines through Italy, through the Catholic Church or secret sections of the Catholic Church, to then become political advisor to different juntas or military regimes in Bolivia. He wasn't the only one. There was Nazis that escaped to Paraguay. You had Stroessner in power there, who was a German Paraguayan, fascist in the 1970s in the what they call the Condor area. You know, late 60s, Che was in Bolivia, and then you had Klaus Barbie, who was the butcher of the Lyon, France concentration camp. You had other Nazis. What's his name? The Dr. Mendele. They found him in Argentina. and there was Nazis in Brazil. So whenever you talk about Operation Paperclip, they don't like talk about Operation Condor, but talk about Operation Paperclip. Those were
Right.
just Nazi scientists. Not saying they were good guys. They were going along with the crimes, but there was Nazi scientists that they brought into NATO, and then also into NASA in the United States. To take part in space programs. Um, there's a lot of focus on that, and there's even been some Hollywood attention to that. What
Right.
they largely ignore is that the Nazis that were sent south of the Rio Grande, who caused a lot of damage, in particular in South America.
Yep.
When Che made that analysis of the Americans being the new Nazis, he didn't know, a couple of years later that there would be an actual Nazi involved in capturing him in Bolivia. But
Yep.
that's what was going on.
No. This is really good points and good context for people to understand, because it's really just a repetition of history here. The French and the Americans are now using the terrorists that were their enemies to now topple governments and keep governments in destabilization. What I mean? These past terrorist attacks that has happened in Africa have been targeting infrastructure that Russia or China has put together, targeting infrastructure that the Sahel region has been putting together with progress. This is not the first time, and this is not going to be the last time that Mali or Burkina Faso or Niger is going to have to deal with this. And I really don't like the rhetoric that I saw also, Alex Suarez, from legacy media and also well-known independent journalists seem to fall for the hoopla as well too. Even Al Jazeera, if you notice,
Are you talking about the correspondence dinner, the fake assassination attempt?
Oh no. Still on the Sahel. Just that.
Well, what's going on in Africa? Yeah, there's definitely hypocrisy.
There's a hypocrisy in the way that
there's a lot of
cover it.
Eurocentric progressives that think that France can do no wrong, that don't want to talk about what France has done to Africa and is continuing to try to do to Africa.
Right.
And that's reflected in the media as well. Yeah.
Right. And
I wasn't listening to you at first because I got a text, but yeah, I get your point.
It's very upsetting that, because they try to make it sound like, oh, maybe this might topple the government, but they don't mention how we're going to mention on the show how Mali fought back. Not only did they fight back, but their citizens fought back and won. And not only did they win, but they also won with the help of Russian soldiers.
They're trying to make it Libya 2.0. They want to use the Islamists, just like they did in 2011 in Benghazi, to overthrow the government, and with no regard for the blowback or the consequences that can come from that imperial tactic that they continue to use.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. And lastly, on this subject, I want to mention that, as much as they try to cover up and make it seem like it's not a priority with these big-headed states, it exposes them more, because I guarantee you that they will not be attacked right now if they didn't kick out the French and the American soldiers in the Sahel region. I guarantee you that they wouldn't be attacked, but they are being attacked because they want to do
By the way,
things
if it
their
wasn't
way.
for the military alliance, Nigeria, who's a puppet regime, would have used their large military to invade at least one of the countries in the Sahel to try to reverse this pushback against the French imperialists who've continued with their economic imperialism in the region.
Right. And I just got to give it up to the Malian citizens lastly, because the fact that the video, I can't show the videos, Alex, because YouTube is very graphic, but the citizens fought back because they believe in the revolution. They believe in change. They don't want to be ruled by France anymore. That shows you how powerful and strong their mindset is right now. They are united.
Well, in the
They don't want to go back.
1970s, the French left their political influence, like they no longer technically ruled them as colonies. What was sustained was the economic strangulation on these countries. And it was the same thing when the French left Haiti. They said, okay, you military defeated us. we're gone. We're not going to enslave you anymore, but we're going to
Right.
impose an embargo on you. And the United States was complicit in this. And this was a couple centuries before the Cuban embargo. So there's a long
Right.
history of economic strangulation on oppressed people in Caribbean and Africa, etc., which the United States takes part in even before they became an empire. They were doing it along with their European allies.
Yep. Now we're going to move to Iran. And the original show notes, if people still see it, I tried to switch it, was talking about the briefing that Donald Trump got with the Pentagon on what's next moves with Iran. But what time is it? It's 5:35.
5:35, brother.
About an hour and 35 minutes ago, this came out. The music should be going in a second. Okay, it's a music thing. Let me turn it off. Anyway, I downloaded the wrong
brain
video,
surgeon back here. If anybody needs brain surgery, it's Trump.
The Trump administration says the Iran war terminated before the 60-day deadline. Should we believe them at this point? What do you think?
It's like when Bush said on board the USS whatever, mission accomplished, and the war went on for another 15 years. I'm not going to say it's taking that long, but you can't trust what these imperialists are saying.
Yeah, we got to wait on actions with this.
Yeah,
definitely. I don't believe it until I see it. Is it really terminated? I don't know. Maybe this could
look
be
at the gas prices, over what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, I had to go all the way to Georgia. I live in North Florida. To get gas at a reasonable price because of their laws. Their gas tends to be a little cheaper. But of course, it's being felt throughout the country. A lot of people have to leave their counties, to leave their state, just to save a few cents on the gallon. And every cent counts with this economy, with the inflation, and with the rise in the gas prices as a direct result of U.S. foreign policy. Americans a lot of times say we don't pay attention to foreign policy; it doesn't affect us. But as soon as it starts affecting how much gas you can put in your tank, then people are starting to pay attention. And this war with Iran is highly unpopular. And Trump didn't even pretend to try to get congressional approval, didn't even bother, even though the majority are Republicans. But a lot of these are like so-called America First Republicans. It really means Israel first. But, some of them, they stood toe the line. They say, like Tucker Carlson or whatever, that they're against the war in Iran. So there's some pressure there. But this is just going to continue on. It's a neocon, fascist, liberal war where all three of those factions are united to maintain the war in Iran. The liberals might verbally say they're against it, but they're going to go along with it, like we mentioned earlier. So,
yeah. And on the Lebanon front, there was a reporter from the Haaretz that reported about how the mission in Lebanon, the IDF officials admit that it is a failure. They're only...
That's an Israeli source. A lot of people don't realize Haaretz isn't actually an Israeli source itself. They tend to be a more progressive outlet within Israel.
Yeah. And they're like, I love that they criticize the government, but they still hold some Zionist value.
Well, of course, they have to function within Israel. They're not anti-Zionist. They still want Israel to exist, although they have some people within their media organization that want a two-state solution. But, I used to believe in both a two-state and one state at the same time. I said that a means towards getting a full state would be a one state, because that's what the Zionists did. The Zionists accepted a little piece of land that the UN gave them and then expanded on their own and used that as justification. Although we have to defend ourselves to take that legal land that the UN gave us. And Palestine can do something similar. Now I'm completely against two-state. There's just no hope for two-state. Look what they're doing every day in the West Bank. The only way is a one state.
Right. It has to be a one state. You can't do two-state when there's 750,000 Israelis living in the West Bank right now. It's impossible.
There was several thousand in Gaza. I mean, a smaller area, lower population of settlers, but that they withdrew. There was settlers even in the Sinai at one point before they reached the deal with Sadat in Egypt. They can remove settlers, but does that mean there's going to be a state set up? I don't see that. I don't see any framework where the Zionist entity can continue with the level of evil that it's imposed on the world.
Right. It's going to have to be like how South Africa and America settled their apartheid. It's going to have to be a one-state solution. That's just
They tried to
all
make
be.
what they called Bantustans with lands within South Africa. But in the end, they have to remain South Africa and give the rights to the majority of the population, who were, of course, were the Black Africans.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what? Elon Musk keeps crying foul about South Africa. Like, my white
so
people
annoying.
are oppressed. And it's like, how can you be oppressed if you have most of the agriculture? To this day, most of the agriculture is owned by white South Africans. So how are they then discriminated against? They still have a lot of economic power there.
He's such a goddamn white supremacist. Like, he just needs to come out and just tell us.
I mean, that's how this family made his fortune. His family made his fortune because his father invested in the diamond industry, the blood diamonds, taking advantage of African conflicts and racism to get rich off the diamonds. That's how he inherited his wealth. He wasn't self-made.
Yep.
Nor was Trump.
And this was in Zimbabwe,
right,
where they were also trying to make it apartheid there.
Well, yeah, they had made apartheid in several countries around South Africa as well. Like, for example, it used to be called Rhodesia.
Yep.
And then
Zaire
is now called the Congo. But Rhodesia is Rwanda. So Rwanda at one point was also controlled by whites, Dutch, not British. Although there's many Dutch in South Africa as well. But you had people like Mandela rising up against the British. You had people, of course, like Gaddafi rising up against the Italians, and then later the Americans that were trying to control Libya and their oil. And all those movements were united with one another. Some people that are ignorant to the history would say, "What did Mandela have to do with Gaddafi?" But they were close allies. We've talked about it. When Mandela came out of prison, it's important to know that he thanked 3 leaders for his freedom: Fidel Castro, Yasser Arafat, the Palestinian leader, and of course Muammar Gaddafi.
Yep. And the 4th one, he went to see the Ayatollah as well too.
Yes, he also went to Iran. He was motivated by what was going on there, and that Sunni Shia divide was starting to end as well. But the imperialists always try to find ways to divide the people there. So,
oh hell yeah. Well, I'm happy that, to end this show off, what I'm happy about is that the U.S. is being embarrassed. I have to say that's the only way this country learns. The oligarchs,
90% of Americans to think it was I don't want to say false flag, but that it was a fake assassination attempt.
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, why not? Because it's like the majority of the world, I would say probably 99.5 to be generous, probably more. No, it was or believe that it was a fake assassination attempt, because some Americans indoctrinated were probably close to 91.5, over 90% think it was even a lot of Republicans think it was a fake assassination attempt. But you even have footage of them smirking afterwards because they all knew nobody was going to get hurt. The guy didn't get shot. Apparently, he fired in the air. He wasn't even trying to get Trump. I guess it ricocheted and hit an agent in the vest, apparently. And then within seconds, they had him on the ground with his shirt off. Like, it was so fake. You know what it made me think? You ever watch Breaking Bad?
Yes, I finished that series.
Remember that guy that they hired to be the fall guy? That he immediately went on the ground and the cops arrested him and they blamed him for some shooting that one of like their cartel guys had did. They hired a guy. He was known. Like he does it for a certain amount of money. He goes to jail. He does a 10-year sentence or whatever. And he's done it so many times. He's known. So he's like, okay, let's get the fall guy. We're going to pay. That's pretty much what this guy was. By the way, he has 2 different images in Israel. You know that, right? What's his name? Alan Cole. He was supposed
Something
to be
like
some
that. I got to go back and watch.
He was supposed to be some centrist Democrat that supported Kamala that was pro-Israeli. No. This guy had connections with intelligence, probably CIA and Mossad. And there's a picture.
He was a school teacher.
Right, but he was a school teacher who had pictures in Israel at the Wailing Wall, and he had a picture with an IDF shirt on, and they
Right.
checked it was not AI; those were authentic images. And then his social media was
Yes.
usually taken down after he was arrested because they're trying to cover it up, but not before we found that out. So
Right.
this guy, he could have been a teacher, but he also probably had connections with. I mean, there's people that are teachers that are former intelligence, and so he was probably paid off. He was one of those guys, like, okay, we're going to use him to get Trump a little more popular. And I think it was even more obvious than the fake ear shooting incident, right? I
Yeah.
mean, if you look at the footage that emerged from that later on, it looked like a photo op. Like they already knew the guy was neutralized, and Trump was positioning himself with the media, and his Secret Service helping to usher the media. They weren't worried about saving his life. They're worried about getting the best image with the fake blood. They even show the moment where he puts the fake blood on his ear, and it's like, so his ear's back on his head the next day. Like what? It was just fake, but it didn't look that fake at first. This is even more obvious because the guy immediately hit the ground. They didn't even shoot him. It's like everybody, or almost everybody, was in on it, except for maybe a few members of the cabinet. They're acting like cowards, like Stephen Miller, who was putting his pregnant wife in front of his body, and Robert
Yeah.
Kennedy, that was leaving his wife behind. They didn't know. They were
Yeah.
just acting like the utter cowards that they are.
Well, you know who else didn't know? Who tried to make this about them?
Oh man. You know you kill your husband. Shut up. You're just a Mossad bitch that was sent there to silence your husband. You're a femme fatale. That's all you are.
Why she dressed like
She was sent there to seduce her husband and
Rhythm
marry
Nation.
him and make sure he was in check and didn't go after the Zionists. And once he did, I mean, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, man, but come on. She's such an obvious femme fatale.
I mean, her family was in intelligence, mom and dad.
Not only that, she's in the Epstein files. Erica Kirk is in the
with
Epstein
Romania.
files. So it's it's so obvious because he started questioning the Epstein files and the Zionists because he didn't know his wife was an agent. And then suddenly he was silenced. And she was caught like with fake tears. Like, just she's a complete actress, man. She's a phony.
Yeah.
Anybody can see that. Even people within Turning Point themselves are starting to go after her. That's why she couldn't show up to their last meeting because people are going to protest her. Like she's just a phony, man.
And their ticket sales are going down. They're not selling like they used to, so they're losing a lot of money. And I wonder how pissed the donors are.
Yeah, because she's completely turned Turning Point into basically a Zionist front. And completely against her husband's legacy, what he was doing towards the end. Not to say he was a great guy, but at least he was taking on Zionism, and it cost him his life. So JFK too. JFK wanted the Zionists to stop their nuclear program. And they said that Mossad worked with the CIA and the Cubans and others to take out JFK in Dallas. So there's a long history of this.
John Kiriakou talks about this as well too.
Mm-hmm. And he's former CIA himself.
Yeah. And we had him on the show, guys. So
you went on Pierce Morgan right after our show.
Yeah. And he did Joe Rogan. Remember when we asked him why Joe never called? He finally did Joe Rogan. Yeah, I mean, the fact that a lot of people on both sides of the political spectrum are believing this is a hoax tells you just how much the country just does not trust this administration. The trust level with this administration is an all-time low.
But why give it as credence as an administration, brother? It's a regime. It's an imperial regime.
Yes. This is a regime. The trust level with this regime is at an all-time low, and they should be worried about that because no one wants to believe anything that they're saying. They're like, oh no, this sounds like bullshit. Like they just not good at lying. The Democrats are great at lying. They should probably take a textbook out from the Democrats on lying. The Democrats can lie their ass off.
Even the Iranian officials were like, we can't keep negotiating with the United States because Trump doesn't know how to say a single truth. He just keeps lie after lie.
Right.
I mean, the Iranians are just saying what everybody at the UN, all the world, all those countries already know. They're just brave enough to say it, that Trump is just a compulsive liar, pathological. He doesn't know how to say truths. And actually, it's pretty dangerous because he might believe in some of his own lies. He's just so far from the truth. He's so far gone.
That's the scary
part.
That's
an empire in decay. That's an empire decay right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well, guys, that's the show that we have. I don't have anything else to cover. We had a good, extensive talk about a lot of things. Do you have anything else to bring up, Alex, before we do our close?
Well, I think if you look at the Cuban case in particular, it's quite fascinating
Yes.
how
Yes.
other countries have come to help them in this crisis and how they've been able to use incredible innovations within their medical system to make programs, medicines that we don't have as Americans. It's important to understand that the Cuban embargo that persists and that is expanded by Trump doesn't just affect Cubans, it hurts them more than anybody, but it hurts us Americans and what we can have access to and our freedom of movement in countries that we could know, in Venezuela as well. And so these sanctions are war crimes. They're genocidal. They hurt the population. They make the population support the government more. So, it's a blowback. So
Yeah.
I'm going to read a statement. It's going to take 2 hours to read. No, just kidding. No statement. But I can't look at her. She's a phony. Are those even her real eyes? I mean, she's got to be. I don't know if she's MI5, but she's definitely Mossad, man. She's in the Epstein files, man.
Dude,
Like,
she
probably figured it out. Like,
I'm gonna
he woke
just
up
say,
at night and he was going on her laptop to check if she was cheating on him, and he's like, "Holy shit, she works for Mossad," and that's probably when they took him out. I don't know.
Right. I totally believe that it was a plan to get rid of him. I totally believe, but I don't really put much into it for obvious reasons. But what was the name of the guy that Alex Suarez, if you remember, what was the name of the guy that the Germans used to sing about that they made their martyr that was a Nazi? Like, it's literally history repeating.
Oh,
So
you're talking about the Ukrainians who built statues to this guy, Bandera. He was a Nazi collaborator.
He was a martyr?
He died in West Germany during the Cold War.
Okay. I thought there was another guy, too, that
the Russians finally got to the son of a bitch, and he was being protected in West Germany and got killed there.
Yeah, so it's like history repeating itself. They're looking for that person to be propped up that people can't question in their point of view, which is crazy. That it's Charlie Kirk, of all people. It's crazy that it's him, of all people. That,
to be fair, had Charlie Kirk lived longer and kept discovering all these contradictions about the right, he could have ended up becoming progressive. We don't know. That was stolen from him when he was killed. So I have some sympathy for him. He held views.
Yeah, we don't know because he was young.
Yeah, he was young. He was younger than me. I mean, he held views that I strongly disagree with. But he was starting to take the right position, against Zionism, and that's probably ultimately what got him killed.
Yeah, and I don't mention him on the show.
Too many followers. It was too dangerous for somebody like that to keep talking out against Zionism.
Right. What were you about to read, by the way? Sorry about that. That was a whole side.
No, I was joking. I was saying it's going to take about 2 hours to read this final statement, but I'm going to go ahead. I was kidding. Remember, I used to read statements on your show. They were never 2 hours long, but
I enjoyed your statements, Alex. You're a really great writer, which is why you're one of the best journalists I know.
Oh, I'm celebrating this weekend because last weekend the book deal didn't go through yet. It's official. I signed the contract. I signed the contract 2 days ago. So this weekend I'm celebrating that I got my book deal of my father's biography, which is highly political because he was very political throughout his life, like I am. He was a big influence on me. So,
my father. Congratulations.
Thank you. My father actually taught students in France in English about Hugo Chavez. My father was very pro Chavez. This was back in the early 2000s. So, and little did he know that his son a few years later would end up in Venezuela at the invitation of the Chavistas, right, and become an election observer. But a lot of my views I have through him. There's also, to be fair, a lot of activists that rebelled against their parents' views and formed their own. But that didn't happen with me. He was very supportive of my actions. He was very proud of my actions in Venezuela and everything that I was doing. So,
yep. We have a comment from Extra Bola. Peace, love, happy.
Oh
May
yes,
Day.
International Workers' Day is today, which started in the United States ironically in Chicago, but it's celebrated abroad because they made the Labor Day in September to counter internationalism, the American Labor Day. Huh?
And they fought for an 8-hour work week, and people died in that struggle.
And at that time, socialists and anarchists were united. They were a major threat against the establishment.
Yep. I apologize to our little audience that we have here listening. Thank you so much for listening, by the way. That we didn't really mention May Day as much. There was just so much in the news going on. But no, there is events and rallies happening right now as we speak all over the world, internationally. And it's a good time to be an American because Americans are taking this holiday very seriously now. A few years ago, wasn't really much of a big deal to a lot of Americans, but now it's a big fucking deal. And I really appreciate
it's like Bad Bunny.
UAW.
Just like Bad Bunny in halftime. When you say Americans, you're talking about from the tip of Canada all the way down to the south of Chile and Argentina, near Antarctica.
America.
All of those in between are Americans of the American continent. And is it a good time to be an American? I don't know, because if you're the wrong color in the United States, you're going to be sent to a camp. And, so quite possibly even American citizens have been sent there already. When they're telling them, we have my documents, we're born in the United States, they still sent them. This has happened already.
And I heard that there's a strike also that's being talked into
May Day is not about patriotism. I'm not patriotic. May Day, because they'll have those fake patriotic socialists. Don't even get me started on them. But yeah, May Day is not. Yeah, it's a contradiction, right? It's like saying you're a anarcho-capitalist or something. That's ridiculous,
right?
But May Day to me is not about patriotism. It's about international workers beyond borders, and whether they have the world in the American continent, in Latin, or in Africa, wherever, we have to show solidarity with the workers and advocate for a workers' democracy. There have been anarchists and socialists that have wanted the same society. They largely differed on methods. But yes, we need a society that is a workers' democracy. And the bourgeois democracy in the United States, you can't even call it that anymore. The little democracy we had left was decimated, but we talked about at the beginning of the program because of another corrupt decision by the Supreme Court to go after the loss of the voting rights. This is when we have to rise up and make movements rather than depend on electoralism, which is just a waste of time and waste of resources.
Yes. Very important. Very important. So happy May Day to everyone. This is also not to mention when you brought up Chicago, Minnesota, which is the neighbor, showed how to fight Trump in his policies. If y'all haven't noticed, ever since Minnesota did that general strike and fought ICE, when this was the largest deployment of ICE agents and Border Patrol ever in history, they're not doing that big of a magnitude of deployment anywhere else right now.
I would have just preferred for the Minnesota governor to start shooting ICE guys, but that's just me.
Thank God they didn't have to get to that level because the working class came together, they mobilized, and now you don't hear about none of these deployments anywhere else.
How many people are going to name their children, give their children the middle name Preti for Alex Preti, or give their children the middle name Renee for Renee Good? The future generations will have to know the truth from their parents of their sacrifice and the sacrifice of many others that are not named that were in the camps through negligence or whatnot, or through killing. They could have killed a lot of people in Alcatraz. We don't know where those 1,000+ people ended up. And so history will see this, and hopefully future generations will reverse this evil imperialist system, evil and capitalist imperialist system that we're all subjected to.
Right. And it's and also, I don't want that to sound like it's a end of be all victory. No, we already talked about the state
it's a partial victory that we should relish in, but not let us stop us from being vigilant, because the struggle is continuing.
People are still being kidnapped. People are still being put in the camps.
Maduro was kidnapped. They have no respect for the sovereignty and democracy of nations that are far more democratic than us, and we have to push back against this.
Yep. Well, my friend Alex, I think we covered a good amount today, and I appreciate everyone that have listened to this second episode of Team Resistance.
Viva el Día Internacional del Trabajador. That's what I just said in Spanish. That long live International Workers Day.
Yes. Long live International Workers Day, man. We have a comment here. The people need to unite in their neighborhoods. Definitely.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I'm in a more kind of affluent part of Jacksonville and Jacksonville Beach, but even here, there's people that are homeless that I show support for. Wherever you are, you have to show support for the oppressed. And we're not like other countries. I mean, there's poverty everywhere, and there's always something you can do. Even if you don't have the money to buy them food, just show them kindness, respect, talk to them like a human being. That's also a revolutionary act where we're in a society that's materialistic and capitalist that considers these people subhuman. Every act has to be an act of defiance. Like Gandhi said, he said, be the change you want to see in the world. Do it through your own actions and how you raise your family, how you talk to your friends. That's movement building as well, establishing that consciousness.
Yes, totally agree. This is why it's important that you guys tell your friends and come over. I love this little crowd that we have here. Let's bring more
quality over quantity, right? We got quality comrades.
Quality over quantity. Yep. So I want everyone to have a really good night. A really good weekend too. Happy May Day.
Happy May Day.
It's important that we as working people observe this day and have a good time because God, we need a May Day. We need a real May Day like before. The people that fought for our 8-hour work week, everything. We need that type of
minimum wage. The federal minimum wage, they were fighting for that too. That hasn't been raised since George W. Bush. Absolutely ridiculous. The federal minimum wage rising puts the corporations in their place. We need to establish a new minimum throughout the country.
I'm going to share one more thing. I know I keep saying we got to end it, but it's important. We got to talk about these things. My insurance, I had to pay, and this is the first time with this insurance, $130 for my last medication.
Wow.
And I haven't paid that ever for any medication, nor did I pay because Connecticut has a really good single payer program, basically.
Right.
But it's for people that make a certain amount of money each year. It's not for everybody. I wish it was for it. It should be for everyone, just like how it is in every other country. But at least they do have that option. It's called Husky. And I never had to pay for prescriptions until Donald Trump became president.
Yep.
And I paid $16 for one prescription last week. And then this week, I paid $130 for my prescription. So, this whole idea of him running saying, oh, I'm going to cut the costs. Did he really cut the cost, people? Like this is my issue with the never leave Trump supporters. Like, look at your pockets, please. At least you don't have to care about my people and my culture. You don't have to care about pansexuals, bisexuals, trans people. I wish you do care about it because we are part of the working class.
Well, they're trying to distract people on social issues to divide us,
Right. I know their pockets are hurting too.
It's called scapegoatism. It's nothing new. It's part of the fascist rhetoric.
Right. And I think it's important that we talk about that because no one should be paying out of pocket just for healthcare. Healthcare should be a human right, just how it is.
Even if it's legal, it's still a crime. It's a crime against your human rights.
Right. So, oh wait, I gotta play this one more time. No, wait, not that one. Not that one. It's because here we go.
Ugh. It's such a witch. No offense to Wicca. I'm not talking about Wicca. I'm talking about, our mythological evil witch.
Yeah.
You probably had Mossad order her go up there and do that. Yeah.
Dude, this is so fake. Like, somebody on her team was like, how about you just like do do a split scene where you pretend you're mad and all this shit. I just had to show that one more time. Oh my god, I just had to. The fact that you stole Janet Jackson clothes from her music video, Rhythm Nation. Like, excuse me, that is Rhythm Nation. How dare you steal her creativity? Janet Jackson should sue you.
There's nothing original about Erica at all. She's just a classic femme fatale that put her husband in a trap that he couldn't get out of.
Yeah, they're only married for 4 years, and they only knew each other for like a year before.
Well, she was online dating. Like, she said she never dated before her husband, and they found like hundreds of pictures of her with like online dates on social media. Like, you can't really lie like that anymore, you know? But it's like the Elvis song, he caught in a trap. Her husband was caught in a trap. He realized who she was, and then she probably was ordered to silence him.
Yep.
Oh, instead of Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, Miss Erica, if you're nasty. That's a good one. I remember that song. Wow.
Nah, you should go on.
You don't mean nasty in a good way neither. Because with her, it's the bad nasty.
Right. No, Warren should get you on his show. Warren, invite Alex Flores. That's his handle right there on his name.
I'm gonna get on his show already.
No, he was on Tommy Nation show.
Oh, okay. I get mixed up sometimes.
Warren's from Chicago. Warren's a great guy. You should get on his show. He'll love you.
And that's Fred Hampton territory, right?
Yep.
You got Fred Hampton Jr. He's still around.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of good work. Fred Hampton Jr. I've been following him. He's doing the best he can for Chicago. I love seeing people that literally just do everything they can for their city.
And he had prison time. You know, he suffered years in prison. You know, they were going to put his father in prison and then killed him. But this guy's hardcore. You know, maintaining a legacy.
Right. Yep, this is what it's all about. Shouts out to the Black Panther Cubs. Shouts out. And that movie was amazing about his father.
Judas and the Black Messiah. I saw it a few times.
I appreciate that they added him a part of being like the producer, a consultant producer. You know, that was very, very important.
Hey, did you see the new Michael Jackson movie yet?
Not yet.
Oh, you got to see it, man. What's his name? Jafar, the nephew. He looked just like him, man. I saw it the other day.
Everybody's saying it's really good. And you know, I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. That's my favorite.
They don't really give a damn about us. That was one of his political songs, you know. He went down to Brazil for that one. They filmed it there.
Yep.
Okay, well, if you want a history expert, man, you tell me the subject. I'm your man. Reach out to me on Twitter. You see my Twitter handle there, LR Suarez #2.
Yeah, I'm gonna DM him. I'm gonna DM Warren your link right now.
Do you know Michael changed his name shortly before he died to Mikael, which is Arabic for Michael? He converted to Islam.
Michael Jackson?
Yes, his name was Mikael before he died, shortly before, and he converted. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was very pro-Palestine.
Yeah.
He had a lot of brothers with Zionists.
So you know, Smoley, the rabbi, the Zionist rabbi.
Of course, I know who you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. So
I think it's pronounced Shmuley, but I know who you mean. Yeah.
He knew Michael, and
there
was an interview where he talked about every time Michael heard about something happened to the Palestinians, he was one of the rabbis he called and cussed them out, saying, "Why are y'all doing this to them?"
Yep.
Like Michael would call rabbis.
I'm not surprised by that at all. Yeah.
Michael was serious.
Because Michael was very concerned about the children of the world. He had a traumatic childhood.
Exactly.
And he saw the overwhelming numbers of Palestinian children that were killed back then. Now it's even worse with the latest operation in Gaza. But he was always concerned about the children.
He was always concerned. You know what I mean? So that's one of the reasons why I hold him in such high regard. You know, I already knew
Heal the World. Heal the World is one of the greatest songs right there. And that's all about the kids of the world.
Yep. Yeah, but I'm gonna watch the movie.
You got to, bro. You got to.
Warren just said he just follows you on Twitter.
Okay, I'll follow back.
Yep. All right, let's end this, Alex, because I'm hungry, man. It's time to go.
Hey, I really feel bumped up now after this show, man. I'm going to go out to karaoke tonight to celebrate the book deal. But now I feel even more
congratulations, brother.
Thank you. Now I feel even more bumped up because I was on your show just before, so it's awesome. Just like old times, right? When I used to co-host, just like old times.
Just like old times, unsavory politic days.
Politique, as they say in French. Okay, my friend. Keep in touch.
Yep. Have a good day, everyone, too. Have a really good day.
And good night. I'm more nocturnal.
Enjoy your karaoke.
Blank period, yeah. On my black, brown, and indigenous. Gotta holler if you really feeling this. Gotta holler if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100, ayy. If you don't like it, then fuck it, ayy. We gonna win in the end, yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain. How you just sitting there chilling?